So we now move on to our online conference sponsors and long BLC supporters, ClickView. And thank you to Helen for joining us today. Helen is going to look to demonstrate and talk to you about how ClickView video can support the increasing challenges of learners utilising AI for written assessments. So over to you, Helen.
Thank you so much. Morning, everybody. Lovely to see some familiar faces or names online. As Kirsty said, my name's Helen. I'm one of the customer success managers here at ClickView. For those of you that might be unfamiliar with ClickView, we're a video learning resource and we're supporting staff and students in using video as a teaching and learning tool through both kind of course related content and also broadcast TV content. So when we've been speaking to our FE customers, we are hearing more and more how colleges, as Matt and the guys before have just mentioned, are needing to be adapting to the increasing amounts of AI being used by students when curating their written assessments, and it's presenting a problem. So ClickView can support to kind of combat that via the medium of video. So ClickView's always been a really great tool for supporting with assessment, but as this is a kind of bigger focus now with more and more use of AI by learners, we wanted to take this opportunity to kind of like demonstrate a few ways that you can utilise your ClickView licence to support with this. So I'm going to share my screen and jump straight into ClickView. So for those of you that may not be familiar, this is the ClickView platform. I'm logged in as a staff member, but the interface is very similar for students. So ClickView is a tool for both staff and learners. So the first kind of example that I'm going to use is around interactive video for assessment. So getting students to be digitally submitting their learnings as opposed to written assessment. So some of you might be familiar with interactive videos already. Essentially, they're videos that have got questions embedded into them. So there are lots of ready-made interactives that ClickView have curated for you to save time. So just making a generic search for careers here. We've got all of our results then that link into either careers as a specific word or kind of similar strains for that search. We can filter our results then so that we can just see those interactive videos. So you've got your different filters at the top, and through type, we can apply just interactives. And then you can see the difference here that we can preview the questions that are already set against these videos. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm just going to pull it back a little bit. So as you can see initially on the playback bar, we've got these coloured markers. That's indicating that a question is going to appear at this part of the video. So really good. Separately to assessment is using it kind of as a class-based tool as well, or a homework tool, but kind of thinking around that assessment piece. So let's just demonstrate that. So just skipping ahead a little bit, we've come to one of our questions. The video automatically pauses. If our students were completing this themselves, they'd then make their selection, and then they'd save, they'd get immediate feedback whether that was the right selection or not, and then they continue.
Choosing a career
the video carries on playing,
or teacher might seem like a good shortcut.
And then we can move to the next question.
Even if your heart's not in it, but you might be limiting your options.
So we've got a short answer in this case, so an essay style question. So they can then type in their responses. We've got Immersive Reader for support with narrating these questions as well, and then they can come back later.
The same list of 10 jobs.
So on and so forth as they're then carrying on to complete this video in its entirety. So lots of ready-made, and you can preview the questions before you use them. You can make these as a template and copy an interactive and make edits if you want to make a few tweaks. But again, as a time-saving tool, lots of interactives that are already made for you. However, there is also the ability to create your own if you want to make a completely bespoke set of questions. So when you come back to the original version of a video, you can make that interactive. So any video can be made interactive. So we can come through and choose our kind of feedback type. So instant means that the learners, as they're completing it, will get that immediate feedback. So we might have already watched the video. This might be our first time reviewing it. But as then the video starts playing along, we can pause, and in the top right, we've got our option to add in our questions. So here we've got 6 different question types, and you can use as many or as few of these when you're creating your own. If we're trying to kind of alleviate some of that use of AI and from the written assessment piece, you might not choose a short answer because that's essentially kind of an essay style question. You might be using the other types of questions, but essentially you can then sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time. My brain doesn't work that way. So you can add in an annotation and then continue to add in further questions. So this one, you might be adding in a fill the blank, and you would put something far more creative than this, and so on and so forth. So you're building up your question sets, and as you are, they are showing it at the bottom here. If you want to come back and make any edits to that, you can do so. You can move your time point, you can delete it out completely. And crucially, if you get distracted whilst you're creating these interactives, as inevitably you may, they save as a draft in your My Videos area, so you can come back to them and complete editing them and publishing them if you can't do so in one go. So when you're ready to, then you can publish in the top right, and that then means that it's available to start sharing with your students in order for them to start answering these and using it as an assessment piece. So if we then come back to our main video, so this is our non-interactive version. In order to sort of also use AI to work smarter, not harder for you as teachers, fully appreciate it's a bit of an investment of time to be adding in these questions, but once they're done, you can continue to use them in your lessons year on year. You can make small little tweaks if they're sitting in your lesson plans, and then they can be an assessment tool kind of continually. But there is now a new feature in ClickView whereby every video has got a transcript. So further time saving piece down here is our points of interest. So it takes time to watch videos in their entirety, make sure that they're actually relevant for what you want to be using them for. So we've got points of interest against our videos so that you can see what's being delivered, and they correlate to these little blue notches in your playback. So if you're looking at modern career options, you might just play from this part of the video. Really easy to jump to that. We've also got as a side piece our resources, as supplemented materials, but right down at the bottom then we've got our transcript. So this is for the entirety of the video, and we've got our timestamps. So we can show this in video as well, and we can use this to either search particular themes or keywords, make sure that it's really delivering on what we want, particularly when you're using movies and TV content and you've got either a 30-minute documentary or an hour plus film. The transcript's really useful to be searching, to just creating those smaller chunks of video. But in this instance where we're thinking around creating questions for these videos and using AI, again, down at the bottom of the transcript, we can download this. So we can use our AI platforms to upload our transcript, put in some decent prompts to get our AI tool to be creating our questions for us. If you've got different groups within your classes that you want kind of bespoke questions for, you can then change your prompts so that they're more complex, simpler versions of that question. And then with the timestamps within the transcript as well, it makes it nice and easy for you to then just add in those questions at the point of the video, so that then you've not had to do kind of the heavy thinking and the heavy lifting if the questions that ClickView have curated, or if there isn't a pre-made interactive. Not every video has a ready-made interactive. So it's getting AI to do a bit of the heavy lifting for you as well. So using the transcript's a really good way of kind of utilising AI in that sense as well. So when your students have then completed these interactive videos, the best bit about this is that it gives you data insights so that you've got that evidence of learning for these videos. So once you've shared any of your videos, and every video's got a share link underneath here, so we just click to share, we copy our link, or we can embed it and integrate it into either Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams, depending on what VLE you might use. If you don't use either of those, you can just copy the link and paste that into your sharing platforms. You can see any videos that you've shared through this area. So I'm going to jump into an interactive that has got some analytic data here. And this is what this looks like. So ClickView will mark all of those question types apart from the short answer question, because it's an essay style and it's a free type response. It's then for you to mark that as correct or incorrect, but ClickView will capture those responses. So again, if you want a very low touch question type, then don't include your short answers. So we can then see kind of overall student performance, we can see class performance, then we can dive in and see how our individual students have achieved. So have they even attempted it? Have they attempted and not scored very highly? Have they scored better? So we can then jump in and see what actually the responses were, and gain greater insight that way too. So then we can see by kind of any learning gaps as a group. So are there questions that the group didn't understand? So we can then see all of our student responses as well. And as students are completing it in their account, when they end, they get a summary of how they've completed with this. So if they also need to provide any kind of evidence for their portfolios and so on, they can take a screen grab and upload that as their evidence of learning too. So then we've got an overall heat map. There is the ability to prevent skipping ahead when you're creating your interactives, to make sure that they don't just go to the question like I did. So we can see student one's obviously not really attempted. Student four's kind of skipped ahead a little bit to the first question, but then has been engaged, and the other three have been fully engaged. So it just gives you that kind of level of engagement, and that's actually a feature that's available on any video, regardless of whether it's interactive or not. You can see the engagement heat map, so you can see whether they have been watching it or whether it's just kind of been passively watched and skipped through and so on. So these reports also can then be generated so that you can use them for that evidence of learning and those assessments. And what's also particularly useful for these interactive videos is when students have got to be doing work in that independent study time. Can be really difficult to provide evidence of what they've actually done in that time. So if you're setting them an interactive video at least then you can pull off a report, and then you've got that evidence that actually at that time they were completing this interactive quiz. So any video can be made interactive. I've used one of the kind of course related videos here, but you might come into movies in TV, and thinking of an example like for catering and hospitality, for instance, you might come in and use something like Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, where you're looking at kind of like do's and don'ts of catering and hospitality, and then you can use that as a kind of real life and engaging example. Okay, so second kind of example that I'm going to use is around student video creation. So particularly useful for vocational courses, but also for, you know, getting them to show their understanding digitally for any course. So video is a medium that students are really engaged with. So let's harness that and use it for education. So really, really easy to upload a video into ClickView. And as staff as well, you know, you can be uploading anything that you're creating as well. So either you can use the little upload video icon in the top right, or you can simply drag and drop into the browser version. There is a ClickView app, and students tend to like using that. So you can record straight into the ClickView app as well, and then that will host straight into my videos. So if we come into this area, we can see a couple of recorded videos here that I've got. So a couple of videos about carpentry and workplace health and safety, and kind of using electrical materials. So your students might have been recording these to showcase their skill set. And so really great way of then, you know, you can't kind of fake that. You're showing it in a video, you're showing your skills, but taking that interactive element that we've just been looking at, students can also engage with interactive videos and they can create their own. So we've got our video here. It's just a very short video, but students might want to then make this interactive so that they can annotate it and show areas either where there might be further support needed or where they feel like they're really confident with that skill. So again, they can just go straight in and make that interactive, and then they can share that with you as their teacher, and then you can view that interactive and see where they've added in their annotations. The great thing about students uploading their own content is the feature that this can be shared then with anybody that isn't necessarily a ClickView user. So thinking around kind of using it for external assessors, you can then change the restrictions on the share link. So clicking into share, we've got our link. At the top here, we can change who that can be viewed by. And if you set that to public, it means that anybody with that link, so once you've pasted this unique link, anybody can view that. So if you do need to share that with external assessors, then they can watch that video and then they can see that skill set being delivered. So really, really useful that they don't have to have that ClickView account in order to use it. So kind of then again on the assessor theme, the kind of last example is using it for internal assessment as well. So if you are somebody that has to do assessments for colleagues and for their students, then sharing those videos for those internal assessments are really useful as well. So again, particularly for those vocational courses where it's difficult to show that skill set sometimes in a written sense, using video and using the functionality to do so helps to kind of show those to assessors. And it might be that you add them into a playlist, so you've got multiple videos, add them into a playlist, and then you can share that playlist out, or those individual videos. So again, kind of using that interactive element then for those internal assessments, then the assessor can annotate the videos with their feedback, commentary and so on. And so then not only do the other staff members get that, but the students can see kind of that feedback and commentary as well. So those are the kind of key areas that I was going to highlight this morning. So also just to promote the fact that lots of training opportunities for the new academic year. If you're a ClickView subscriber, training's included in your licence. So please reach out to myself or Martin, who might be your account manager. We've also got lots of other online CPD opportunities throughout the next academic year. But I hope that this morning's kind of given you a couple of ideas of how you might kind of elevate how you're using ClickView currently. And if you aren't using ClickView currently and you'd like to have a chat about a license and being a subscriber, then again, just get in touch. But thank you to Matt and the team for the opportunity for showcasing that this morning.
Oh, thank you, Helen. Wonderful presentation as always, and lovely to have you on the agenda. So thank you very much. I've got to say, ClickView is an absolute staple of most organisations that I've worked with. So I think, you know, for a teacher's toolbox, it's certainly one of those ones that's always at the top for me. And ultimately, you know, the developments that you're making in that and behind the scenes is fantastic as well. We can really see that you're, you know, using it. And I think, you know, certainly from an assessment perspective, having that video, as we were talking with Andre, just like before this, you know, having that in your arsenal as an assessment type is certainly something that I think it's already really popular, but I think it's certainly going to be, you know, used a lot more going into the next few academic years with that, you know, that AI challenge that we're all facing. And you know, you guys are obviously using AI in a really time effective way for teachers, because again, we're all very aware of what challenges those people are under as well, and people in organisations. Thank you, Helen. Just a quick one for me as well. I think all of our BLC resources are available through ClickView as well. So if you need our videos or anything like that, give us a shout if you need some help with that. We can help signpost you that. Myself, Kirsty and Helen will be happy to help, and obviously Martin as well, to help guide you through that process as well. Kirsty, did you have a hand up? Did you have a question?
I didn't mean to, no, apologies.
Okay. Okay, mate, no problem. But thank you very much, Helen. Pleasure to have you as always, and all the best, and hopefully catch up with you soon. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Helen.